As we do our final segment of the day, and I've gone blank.
Nancy Husselman is here.
Nancy Husselman. I wanted to say Nancy Dunn, but Nancy Dunn is going to be reading books at the library.
She's
here
already done.
in about 10 minutes.
Sorry.
How you doing, Nancy?
I think I'm okay.
You think you're okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I was great until I came in here, and now there's all kinds of things happening.
I know, it just gets
Yes,
crazy. So
it's crazy.
Well, you brought a guest with you today. Who
Yes,
did you bring?
I did. I'm going to let her introduce herself so I don't mess up her last name.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge
Sarah Gallegos.
Sarah Gallegos, and you are the City of Artesia Municipal Judge.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When did you get elected, or were you appointed?
Judge Kuiper retired a few months early, so I actually took the bench January 1st of 2020.
Okay.
And then ran uncontested March of 2020. And
Okay.
So.
Well, good for you. You kind of got rolling right there in the middle of COVID.
Right when it happened.
Yeah,
Yes.
that had to be fun trying to learn how to do this and take over that position. And
Being a brand new judge, it was a lot, definitely. So, but, you know, it's starting to trail off. We do still have to wear masks in the courtroom. Supreme Court says we do, so we follow those rules.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, did you... were you always thinking about being a judge or getting into law in that regard, or how did you get pointed in that direction? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
What pointed you in that direction?
It was recommended to me, and I was very resistant and hesitant at first, but it came back around, and I couldn't say no. So I interviewed with Mayor Miller at the time, and so that's who appointed me when Judge Kuiper retired. And then it's really, you wouldn't think this, but it's really not a job that anybody wants to do. So
I wouldn't want to do it.
So what? But prior to that, you worked for Eddy County, right?
that's correct. Yes.
That's where probably a lot of people have met you. What did you do for the county prior to this?
I worked in the Eddy County Clerk's office, filing records, deeds to houses, things of that nature. Voting, I participated in all of the elections during the 5 years that I worked there. And so, yes, that's where I met the mayor. I met a lot of business people around town, all the voting population. And that was always really fun.
Yeah. Are you from Artesia originally, or are you a transplant?
Transplant. My family and I moved here approximately 10 years ago.
Okay. Do you say where you moved from?
I'll just say Nevada.
Okay. Well, there's Pahrump.
Reno and Carson City.
And that's a couple of other towns too there. Well, that's great. So again, congratulations on the job. What kind of cases come before the municipal court? What is it that you get to hear?
Mostly traffic is what's cited into the Artesia Municipal Court. So speeding citations, running stop signs, red light violations, accident, that type of stuff. So traffic. But then the city has adopted some criminal offenses. So I hear shoplifting and simple battery, trespassing, petty misdemeanor type. But then I have fallen in love with, we hear DWI 1, 2, and 3 in Artesia Municipal Court. Okay.
Which is why Nancy wanted to have you as a guest, because that's kind of her corner of the world.
Yes.
And because there's a lot of, well, maybe you could clear up either some misconceptions or just what can you do when these cases come before you and someone is found guilty of an offense. What are you required to do, or what are your options as far as passing sentence on people that are found guilty of some of these different traffic offenses?
She's got a paper there.
Well, of course.
I'm glad you asked, Gene. For DUIs, there are state mandatory minimums that's regulated. And I'll just come right out and say it. To be quite honest, so far the 2.5 years that I've been on the bench for the Artesia Municipal Court, they have all been plea agreements. So I haven't actually had a DUI trial myself. Excited for whenever we get our first one, but they are pled out, and so generally, lawyers, the attorneys work out the plea agreement with the mandatory minimums. And I've done a handful myself where they couldn't agree on the terms, or maybe the plea was offered, but the defense didn't accept it in a specified time, or whatever the reason. So I was able to sentence, as you say, like on my own, and I felt I did really well, and
Yeah.
I was very
Sure you
pleased with
did.
the outcome.
So
Good.
Did you have your? I'm sorry, asking all the
No,
questions.
no,
Nancy.
you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
So what are the minimums that are required? Say like a first time offense or something like that. What does the state right now require?
Well, that was one of the things that I wanted to touch on for anyone listening, whether it's someone that's been, convicted of a DUI or just a everyday driver, person on their own. It's not just fine and jail anymore. There's mandatory requirements for first, second, and third. It could be aggravated or non-aggravated. You're always looking at community service. The hours range based on first offense, second offense, third offense. Ignition interlock and an ignition interlock driver's license. That's all done through the MVD. That's always required. And we always do supervised probation as well.
Okay. So it isn't always, or it's usually not jail time. It's usually something else along those lines.
It's not just jail and paying a fine anymore. There's all of these other requirements.
Oh, that's good.
So, and it steps up: first offense, second offense, third offense.
That's correct.
Does it stop there, or do we get to the point where, okay, this isn't working. Whatever it is that we're doing here isn't working. You need to be off the streets. Do those options ever appear at municipal court, or does it usually have to go up to another court?
By law, I'm only allowed to hear 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
So if for whatever reason you were to have a fourth or higher, it would go to the magistrate court, and then I guess maybe even district court. I'm not sure that process after.
But the municipal court just hears the 1,
1, 2,
first,
and 3.
For 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Do you see a lot of repeat folks that
I have not.
You have not. Okay. Well,
Which is a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good
Very
thing,
good
yeah.
thing.
Because you would
Definitely.
hope after the first offense that whatever it is that they are sentenced to do is enough of a wake-up call to say, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop drinking and driving at the same time, because it's a bad problem in all of New Mexico, but it's a problem here in southeast New Mexico and in Artesia. So you don't want to have that happen. You probably have a lot of good lawyer jokes now, but that's
We'll save those for a different time.
that's a different discussion.
I had a question. What was it? It went away.
I'm sorry.
Oh, community service.
Yeah.
What exactly does that consist of, and where can these people go? I've had a couple of people ask about that, and I didn't know where to find out any information.
Well, the city is lucky enough to have worked out with other city departments, for instance, the maintenance at the parks. So generally, if someone is sentenced to community service, we fill out all their paperwork and send them to JC Park. I want to say summer hours or something like 6 to 2, and they go out there, and I'm not sure, pick up trash, or maybe they're pulling weeds or laying down
They're
sod.
assigned
but
to somebody at the park that
that
then
is correct. Yes,
That
monitors their-
supervised?
it is. Yes, ma'am. That's why we use that option.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Well, that's pretty good, because I didn't know if they cleaned bathrooms or whatever it was that they did out at some of these places. Who knows? Because once it gets transferred over to them,
Correct.
It does that. And the community service that they're assigned, it's based on hours.
That's
so many
correct.
hours of community service. So like the first offense.
Would be a mandatory minimum of 24 hours of community service.
Okay. And they have a certain period of time with which to fulfill, complete that.
That's correct.
Okay. That's amazing. Do you ever? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We had a young man that had to do community service. He was a MIP.
Minor in possession.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's learning these. I keep forgetting. Not everybody knows what that means. Anyway, he had to help us do the sticker shock. And oh my goodness, I could have him around all the time. He was just pulling boxes out and putting them back and stacking. And he looks at me and he says, "I can guarantee you this will never happen to me again." And that's good news. That's really good news.
You hope that that's the case. On the vehicles, what do you call it? The interlocks. Mm-hmm. How does that process work? Is that the responsibility of the
defendant?
The defendant to have to come up with that expense and make sure that they're in compliant with all that?
I understand they have it installed somewhere that installs these type of devices in the vehicle, and then they have it checked monthly. And yes, we use a third party for our probation. I actually wanted to say hi to everyone at the Eddy County Probation Office. It's called ASU, which is Alternative Sentencing Unit. I begged Sergeant Molina to come with me this morning because I was nervous, and I think his exact words were, "No thanks, Judge, I'm good." So there you go, Sergeant Molina. Thank you.
He's good.
I'll have to ask him next time.
He's good.
Okay.
All right.
He offered to drive me if I needed someone to drive me.
That's so helpful.
I think you know who your next guest is going to be.
Yes, I think I do. He'll probably look at me and say, "No, that's okay.
I'm good."
I'm good.
But really quickly, I did want to say, as the judge for the Artesia Municipal Court, we've done something different just since I've taken the bench. And I kind of wanted to just mention it here this morning, especially if you're about to kick us off, Gene.
Oh, no, we have about 4 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
I borrowed the idea from a fellow municipal judge in Grants. She gave me the idea that for all of her sentenced DUI defendants, she has them report to her court monthly. So outside of probation, probation keeps track of, yes, they've done their 24 hours of community service. Yes, they've had their interlock installed. Yes, they got their interlock driver's license. But I'm having my defendants come and report with me to the court, and we do have ASU probation come also. So it's all of us, and we kind of just get together. It's a less, I'm hoping that it's coming across as like a less intimidating hearing. It's more of like a, "Hey, good job getting your community service done, way to go, and you did it before your expected time for getting it done." And so I just kind of wanted to mention that this morning, that I did borrow that idea, and it has worked out amazingly well.
Again, you've got defendants that are going through this process, and so
it's a lot.
Yeah, and so they get a chance to maybe say, I'm trying, Judge. I'm working on this. I'm working on that. Is that kind of what it's turned out to be?
Yes, I hope so. But I guess I just wanted to stress also this morning that I have 100% compliance with my DWI offenders.
That's awesome.
Once they're sentenced. Every once in a while, we'll have a hiccup, and we might have to issue a warrant, or, someone hasn't done something that they've been required to do by their specified time. But it's turning into more of, I don't want to say therapy, because I'm definitely not a therapist.
I didn't use that word.
Right. But I want to say it's more of like, I don't know. I don't want to say friendly, but it's just more of like a, hey, let's work on this together. The court wants to help make sure you're getting this done. And I think it's just worked out beautifully. And honestly, thank you to ASU, Sergeant Molina. We couldn't do it without them because, like I said, we use them as a third party. They report to probate. The defendants report to probation. And before we started doing our monthly meetings, I would only hear from Sergeant Molina if, someone was in trouble. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do. So I really think it's been great for the court. It's been great for the defendants. And we've had, like I said, just amazing results.
100%.
Communication is
everything.
So
yes,
necessary, and that's awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that continues, because that may be a program that might be used in some other courts as well, just to try to help. The goal is not to catch them being bad again, Although if we catch them being bad again, you've got your next steps that you have to go through. But the goal is to, like you said, the one individual, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
To stop the recidivism.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. And not be drinking and driving and out on the roads and things like that. So
Right.
that's great.
That's
so
fantastic.
So a couple of years into the job, you still like the job?
Yes. It was really rocky at first, especially with COVID and being brand new.
How do you prepare to be a judge?
Well, we're sent to training. We have a mentor. So actually, I should say good morning to Judge Kay Kuiper if she's listening.
I love her.
She was my mentor. Called her all day, every day sometimes, and sometimes it would go, a week without a phone call. So I couldn't have definitely done it without her. So
I only had to go before her one time. It was over a bogus parking ticket. And I walked in, and there was several people in there that got tickets being on the same place that I was.
Yeah.
And she called me up first, and we've been friends for a long time. Well, of course, after she did mine, she had to do everybody else's the same. Which none of the tickets. There's no lines. Oh, it's over on, is it 4th Street?
don't give it away.
Yeah.
There's no.
Well, next time I get
No
a parking
parking
ticket, I'm
signs or-
calling you, and you're going.
Well, if you're parked in the wrong place, you deserve it.
That's like one time I got a speeding ticket at county, and a friend of mine saying, you need to challenge it. And I'm like, but I was speeding.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you need to challenge it. But I was speeding. I know, but that doesn't matter. And I said, no, it does matter.
It does matter.
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy deal. Was there anything else you wanted to mention today, or any Judge Gallegos?
I don't think so. Maybe just thanks to the Artesia Municipal Court staff. I think we do a bang-up job every day.
Well, good. Well, I'm so glad you came
people.
in, and congratulations on this, and
Thank you.
hope it turns out to be a great